Are we just sleepwalking into a future that's already been written? Look around you. The world is in turmoil. An ancient nation, a nation absolutely central to ancient prophecies, is caught up in a war that many believe is just the beginning of something much, much bigger. A legendary river, once spoken of in apocalyptic writings, is literally vanishing before our very eyes. And all this is happening while new technologies are popping up, promising a bright future, but feeling more like a digital cage. These aren't just random headlines. Folks, these are signs. Ancient warnings that are coming to life in 2025. And yet, it feels like most of the world is just looking the other way. For centuries, skeptics have brushed off biblical prophecy. They've called it allegory, metaphor, or just dusty old relics from a forgotten time. But what if the timelines are actually converging? What if those ancient scriptures, the warnings passed down through generation after generation, weren't just stories, but a roadmap to the very days we're living in right now? Here in 2025, the evidence is becoming pretty hard to ignore. We're not talking about some vague feelings of unease here. We're talking about specific, prophesied events that are unfolding with a precision that's, frankly, unnerving. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on three huge signs. The escalating conflict involving Israel, the critical drying up of the Euphrates River, and the silent, but incredibly fast, rise of technologies that sound a lot like ancient warnings about control and deception. These are biblical signs, materializing while the world is busy being distracted, and it's high time we started paying attention. Israel, that nation, has always been a massive focal point of biblical prophecy. Think of it as a sort of super sign on the prophetic clock. The scriptures foretold long ago that in the latter days, Israel would be regathered as a nation. That happened dramatically in 1948. And after that, the prophecies said Israel would find itself increasingly alone, facing enormous hostility from its neighbors. So, let's fast forward to June 2025. Those simmering tensions in the Middle East, they've exploded into a full-blown war between Israel and Iran. This isn't just another regional spat, it's a terrifying escalation. Reports are coming in that Israel launched major operations against Iranian military targets, leading to unprecedented retaliatory strikes on Israeli cities. Now, those who watch prophecy closely point to texts like Ezekiel 38 and 39. These chapters describe a future coalition of nations, including Persia, which is modern-day Iran, rising up against Israel. While many commentators think the current war is more of a foreshadowing, not the complete fulfillment of Ezekiel's prophecy, the parallels are pretty disturbing. The rising tide of global anti-Semitism and Israel's growing diplomatic isolation, those are also trends that were prophesied to mark the end times, and a wider instability. With conflicts blazing in Gaza, Yemen, Sudan, and Syria, just adds another layer to this prophetic picture, painting a world teetering on the brink, just like the ancient texts described. Even Prime Minister Netanyahu reportedly invoked a biblical verse, "The people shall rise up as a lion," in connection to Operation Rising Lion, the name for Israel's military actions against Iran. That really highlights the deep historical and, for many, prophetic weight of these events. These aren't just political shifts. For those who understand the scriptures, these are tremors of a much larger prophetic earthquake. The Bible was clear. Israel would be scattered and then regathered. That was 1948, kicking off what many call the prophetic time clock. It also predicted that in the last days, a great coalition from the north, including Persia, would come against Israel. What we're seeing now might not be the whole story, but it's a powerful setup. Israel's increasing isolation and the spike in anti-Semitism are also unfolding just as predicted. We're literally seeing the stage being set. Jesus himself confirmed that Daniel's prophecies, which need Israel to be a nation in control of Jerusalem, would indeed come to pass. Now, let's look further east, because another ancient prophecy is stirring. The drying of the mighty Euphrates River. For thousands of years, the Euphrates has been a lifeline, a cradle of civilization, but its importance goes way beyond history. It's deeply woven into apocalyptic prophecy. Revelation 16:12 puts it plainly. The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. 4 years now, and with growing alarm in 2025, satellite images and reports from the ground have confirmed a disturbing truth. The Euphrates is vanishing. Huge stretches of this legendary river, which runs through Turkey, Syria, and Iraq, have shrunk, turning fertile lands into dust bowls. Reservoirs are failing, and the communities that relied on its waters are facing disaster. Now, scientists and analysts will point to climate change, long droughts, and damming projects upstream as the reasons, and they're not wrong. But for millions of believers, this is the literal fulfillment of a specific end times prophecy. The drying of the Euphrates isn't just seen as an ecological crisis, but as a divine act, God preparing a physical path for a massive military coalition from the east. This could involve nations like China or a bloc of Eastern powers getting ready to play their part in the prophesied final battle of Armageddon. Some interpretations say the river drying now isn't the absolute final fulfillment tied to Armageddon, since other major tribulation events haven't kicked off yet, but it's seen as a stark warning. Still, the image of this ancient riverbed turning to dust is a powerful and chilling sign, one that many believe is another piece of the end times puzzle clicking into place. The symbolic weight here is enormous. A river that birthed empires is now drying up, possibly heralding their end. The prophecy in Revelation 16:12 is crystal clear about the river drying to prepare for these kings from the east. Historically, the Euphrates was a serious natural barrier, so its drying is often interpreted as God removing that barrier, allowing his divine plan to move forward. While there's debate about the exact timing in relation to other end-time events, the physical reality of the river's decline is undeniable, and it echoes these ancient warnings in a profound way. The third sign. Well, it isn't found on Middle Eastern battlefields or in parched riverbeds. It's woven into the very fabric of our rapidly changing society. The prophetic book of Daniel talks about a time in the end when knowledge shall increase, and many shall run to and fro. Can anyone seriously argue we're not living in that time? The explosion of information, the speed of travel and communication, it's like nothing human history has ever seen. They say human knowledge is now doubling at an incredible rate, and with AI in the mix, some expect that to speed up to knowledge doubling perhaps every 12 hours. But it's not just the increase in knowledge that lines up with prophecy. It's the kind of technologies emerging in 2025 and their incredible potential for control. The book of Revelation, particularly chapter 3, describes a future global system where all economic activity, buying and selling, is controlled through something called a mark. For generations, that sounded like some far-fetched allegory. Not anymore. Think about the fast-paced development and constant talk around central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. Governments all over the world are either exploring or actively testing these digital versions of their national currencies. They're promoted as being efficient, sure, but CBDCs also offer a scary level of potential for monitoring and controlling every single financial transaction. Combine that with the spread of digital IDs, and the framework for a globally linked economic system where every transaction can be tracked and access can be granted or denied with a flip of a switch becomes chillingly clear. And it doesn't stop there. Biometric technologies, fingerprint scanners, facial recognition, iris scans. These aren't science fiction anymore, are they? They're becoming more and more a part of our daily lives, from unlocking our phones to, in some places, even making payments. The technological jump to a system that requires a biometric mark for commerce isn't just possible now, it's disturbingly plausible. Artificial intelligence and massive, centralized databases only boost this capability, creating a potential for surveillance and control that lines up frighteningly well with those prophetic warnings of a powerful entity regulating who can buy or sell. Some even see AI itself as a critical piece in end-time scenarios, maybe used in warfare or even in creating that image of the beast that can speak. These aren't just the fears of someone scared of progress. This is about recognizing how these specific technological advancements, especially in their power to centralize control over whether you can even participate in the economy, mirror those ancient warnings about a coercive global system. The Bible talks about a time when people would need a mark on their right hand or forehead to buy or sell, and the technology to make such a system a reality is maturing at lightning speed. So, if these signs are so clear, if they line up so well with ancient prophecies, why do so many people seem completely oblivious? Why isn't this front-page news, the main story on every channel? Well, there are a bunch of reasons. The sheer speed of modern life. For one, we're constantly bombarded with information and misinformation, creating this deafening noise that just drowns out the truly important signals. Many are simply too distracted, too caught up in their day-to-day lives, to see the bigger picture unfolding. Then, of course, there's active skepticism. For centuries, prophecies have been interpreted and reinterpreted, and let's be honest, many predictions haven't panned out, leading to a kind of general cynicism. The Bible itself actually warns about this. The Apostle Peter wrote that in the last days, scoffers will come, saying things like, "Where is this coming?" he promised. Ever since our ancestors died, everything just goes on as it has since the beginning of creation. This very dismissal of the prophetic, this insistence on normalcy, even as abnormal things become common, is, in itself, a prophesied sign. Also, there's a tendency to see these events in isolation. A war over here, an environmental crisis over there, a new piece of tech somewhere else. It's easy to miss the pattern when you're only looking at the individual threads. But when you look at them through the lens of biblical prophecy, these seemingly separate events can suddenly appear interconnected, like parts of a much larger story that was foretold thousands of years ago. Let's face it, many people simply don't want to believe what they're hearing, if it means their long-term plans might be disrupted, or if it seriously challenges their worldview. The prophets of old, they were often ignored, their warnings dismissed until it was too late. It seems human nature hasn't really changed all that much, has it? The war in Israel, a nation right at the heart of God's prophetic plan, is escalating in ways that truly echo the dire warnings of Ezekiel and other prophets. The Euphrates River, a key landmark in apocalyptic scripture, is demonstrably drying up, a visual confirmation of Revelation's timeline for many. And the technologies of 2025, with their unprecedented power for surveillance and economic control, are undeniably laying the groundwork for systems described in Daniel and Revelation. These are not isolated incidents. People, they are not coincidences. They are, for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, the materializing words of ancient prophecy. While the world is preoccupied with 1,000 other things, these biblical signs are unfolding, and they demand our attention. This isn't about fear-mongering. Bible prophecy isn't meant to scare us. It's meant to prepare us. It's a call to wake up from our collective slumber, to look beyond the fleeting headlines, and to understand the profound, prophetic times we are truly living in. The real question isn't if these prophecies will be fulfilled, but whether we'll recognize them as they happen. What you've heard today is a call to awareness. Don't just take our word for it. Please, do your own research. Open the scriptures, compare what they say to the world around you. What other signs do you see that the world seems to be ignoring? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about it. If this message resonated with you, please share this video with others who you think need to see it. And make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell, because the prophetic clock is ticking, and there is so much more to understand. Stay awake, stay informed, and look up, because the signs are all around us.